Okay, let's dive into this. We're essentially stepping into a massive scientific detective story today to uncover the lost, monumental pasts of ancient Europe. For the longest time, we just pictured early Europeans as these scattered nomadic groups who barely left a trace. But as we're going to see in this explainer, modern science is painting a wildly different and honestly way more sophisticated picture.
For literally centuries, we genuinely thought we had the story of Europe's ancient megaliths totally figured out. We had our neat little timelines, our established theories, the history books were printed, the whole shebang. But here is the exciting part. Groundbreaking tech like ground-penetrating radar arrays, microscopic laser analysis, and even deep-sea dives, they are actively rewriting ancient history right before our eyes. I love how Professor Vincent Gaffney, he's one of the leads on the Stonehenge Hidden Landscapes project, puts it. He says, much of this landscape in effect remains terra incognita, unmapped territory. I mean, think about that. Even at Stonehenge, which has to be one of the most thoroughly studied plots of land on Earth, we're basically just scratching the surface. So today, we're zooming out from that iconic circle of stones to explore some newly discovered mysteries that are completely flipping our understanding of the past. Which brings us right to part one, the secrets of Stonehenge. For the longest time, the prevailing myth was that Stonehenge basically stood alone, just this solitary masterpiece rising out of a quiet, empty landscape. But recent digital mapping projects have proven that assumption is pure fiction. What's absolutely staggering here is the sheer volume of what was hiding literally right beneath our feet. By using advanced, non-invasive radar, researchers have revealed this teeming, complex landscape that was completely invisible to us before. We're talking about finding over 20 massive prehistoric shafts, 17 previously unknown ritual monuments from right around the time Stonehenge was being built, plus super detailed maps of dozens of burial mounds. They even found a massive timber building, likely used for complex death rituals, hidden away inside an earthen long barrow. It's like a giant puzzle coming together.
And the really crucial point here is scale. 3 square kilometers. That is the massive area enclosed by a circle of those newly discovered prehistoric shafts near the Durrington Walls Henge, which is just a couple kilometers from Stonehenge itself. To put that in perspective, these shafts are 10 meters across and 5 meters deep. That totally shatters the idea that Stonehenge was some isolated, small-scale effort. It was actually the epicenter of a massively engineered environment.
But even as we map all these new monuments, the original stones of Stonehenge still hold some pretty profound secrets of their own. Let's look at part two, the altar stone mystery. If you observe the layout of Stonehenge, right near the center lies this anomalous block. It kind of just sits there, awkwardly away from the traditional bluestone circle and the horseshoe.
This is stone 80, universally known as the altar stone. And unlike the other bluestones which we know came from Wales, the altar stone is this massive, 5-meter-long, gray-green sandstone block. Now, for about a century, everyone just assumed it came from the Anglo-Welsh basin. But recent age dating of zircon, rutile, and apatite grains inside the stone proved everyone totally wrong. Its geological signature dictates this massive stone came from at least 700 kilometers away, specifically the Orcadian Basin in northern Scotland. Just imagine trying to haul a 5-meter rock across the entire length of Britain thousands of years before the wheel was even commonplace. It's just an absurd level of prehistoric dedication. So that geological bombshell leads us directly to the next logical step in our detective story. Part 3. Investigating the Orkney connection. Because if the altar stone came from the Orcadian Basin, researchers immediately thought, okay, could it have been brought from the famous Neolithic hubs on the islands of Orkney?
It is the ultimate question, right? Did the altar stone actually come from Orkney? The circumstantial evidence makes it a wildly tempting theory. I mean, there's abundant proof of long-distance communication between Orkney and Stonehenge around 3000 BC. We've literally found Orcadian-style grooved ware pottery in pits just 4 kilometers from Stonehenge. Oh, and a mace head actually made in Orkney was found buried at Stonehenge. So they were undeniably connected.
Naturally, researchers turned to our prime suspects, the incredibly imposing stones of Stennis and the expansive ring of Brodgar up on mainland Orkney. Could the altar stone have been quarried from the exact same rock as these giants? Well, a team from Aberystwyth University set out to rigorously test this hypothesis. And to do this, they didn't just eyeball it, they went on an incredible analytical journey. First up, portable X-ray fluorescence, analyzing the standing stones in Orkney right there in the field.
Then they gathered rock samples from the surrounding geological formations and ran them through X-ray diffraction, and finally automated scanning electron microscopy. In plain English, they practically zapped these ancient stones with lasers and X-rays to create a unique molecular fingerprint, deconstructing them right down to the microscopic level so they could compare it to the altar stone.
The results brilliantly illustrate what they found. The data showed that the Orkney samples are absolutely full of a mineral called K-feldspar, but they completely lack a cement called barite. But the altar stone from Stonehenge? It's the exact opposite. Packed with barite, almost zero K-feldspar. So modern science just completely debunked the Orkney origin theory in one fell swoop.
So, time for a quick fact check. Despite those really deep cultural connections spanning hundreds of kilometers across late Neolithic Britain, the altar stone is definitively not from mainland Orkney. The true source of this massive central stone is still a total mystery, just waiting for the next scientific breakthrough. But hey, hold on to your seats, because if you think dragging multi-ton stones across Britain is impressive, wait until you see what we just found hiding under the ocean.
It brings up a huge question. If the Neolithic builders of Stonehenge are still surprising us with their vast networks and complex landscapes, what about the people who came before them?
Welcome to Part 4, a prehistoric underwater megalith. Recently, some geologists were looking at undersea depth charts right off the western tip of Brittany, France, and they noticed this 120-meter line just blocking off an undersea valley. It did not look natural at all. So underwater archaeologists dove down to check it out, and what they found is literally rewriting our entire timeline of human capability.
Let's look at the timeline here so we can see how this builds. We know Stonehenge was largely erected around 2900 BC. The famous Carnac stone rows in France date back to maybe 4500 BC. But this newly discovered underwater structure in Brittany, it dates all the way back to 5000 BC. That means it was constructed before the arrival of agriculture in that region.
Let's just break down the mind-blowing scale of this thing. It's 120 meters long, sitting 9 meters underwater today. It's made of an estimated 3,300 tons of carefully stacked granite blocks. And incredibly, it actually integrates vertical standing stones, monoliths, up to 1.7 meters high, right into the structure of the wall. But here's the absolute kicker, the thing you really need to take away from this. It was built 7,000 years ago by hunter-gatherers. A society that we previously assumed lived a purely mobile, nomadic lifestyle somehow pulled off a 3,300-ton engineering project. Absolutely wild.
Which leads us seamlessly into Part 5, rewriting megalithic history. Because now we have to ask why. Why did hunter-gatherers go through this monumental communal effort to build a massive stone wall at what used to be the ancient shoreline, right between high and low tide? Right now, archaeologists are tossing around two leading theories. Theory 1 suggests it was this incredibly elaborate fish trap. The idea is that those protruding monoliths would have supported nets made of branches, and as the tide retreated, boom, the fish were caught. A highly sophisticated food procurement system, right? Now, Theory 2 suggests it was a protective dike. Back then, sea levels were rising rapidly. We're talking up to 8.4 millimeters a year, which is enough to dramatically alter your coastline within a single generation. So this wall might have been deliberate engineering by people facing severe environmental pressure. Honestly, either way, it points to a highly organized society that was actively modifying its landscape.
And this is exactly why this matters. The discovery of this wall completely shatters the old myth of nomadic, unstructured hunter-gatherer bands roaming around Europe. It reveals a deeply capable, likely sedentary civilization. It shows us that the knowledge of large-scale monolithic construction didn't just, magically arrive out of nowhere with incoming Neolithic agriculturalists. It existed 500 years prior in indigenous hunter-gatherer societies. We're looking at a profound transfer of knowledge across millennia. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought as we wrap up today's explainer. If hunter-gatherers were engineering multi-ton megaliths 7,000 years ago, and if we're only just now finding out the true scale of Stonehenge's landscape, what else is hiding right beneath our feet, or beneath the waves, just waiting for the right technology to find it? Thank you so much for learning with me today. Keep asking those questions, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.